Latgawa are now 1980, another extinct human nation. They are, and were, an incredibly old mystery people. So old their language Tikilman is not connected to any other known, current, or past language. That is unique in our human history. They say they were always here and emerged into this fifth world from a hole inside an extinct volcano at the west side of an also extinct ancient lake, Lahontan. They claim to be the bringers of stone medicine to all other peoples. A gigantic, three-dimensional stone mastodon, another extinct species, stands before the entrance to their oldest medicine ground. Frog Woman and Old Man Coyote is one of 5 tapes on the traditional Latgawa Tikilma's stone medicine teachings on how to see. A second and third series on how to hear and how to move follow. The information contained in these films is absolutely valid anywhere on the planet and belongs to all humans. The storyline is used here as a teaching aid. Dedicated to Francis and Jesse Johnson, Klamath Falls, Oregon, who passed on this ancient, unbroken thread. Don't drop it, pass it on.
All over this mother, this mater, this ball of matter, Frog Woman is the symbol of the Earth Mother's magic fertility. She represents all females, all wet things, all green things, all nurturing and healing things, all life. She is the Earth Mother, the Birth Mother. She symbolizes the human life cycle, from magic water birth, as a water-breathing fish that magically grows arms and legs and crawls out onto the land, to become an air-breathing creature that apparently has the option of spiritual self-transformation.
As the morning sun rises in the east, the eager pond whistles brings it in power.
I had nothing to do last summer and had been hanging out along the river when I discovered true magic. No act of faith, no make-believe, but true magic. I noticed an older woman walking along the riverbed towards me. She kept bending over and picking up stones and holding them out in front of her for inspection, then putting them into her pocket. She kept doing this until she was even with me.
Hey, you look bored. Come over here and I'll show you something really interesting. Actually, it's astounding.
I walked over to see what it was she was so enthused about. She held up a small stone to my eye level and asked me what I saw. She indicated the right outside edge of the stone with her finger. I saw a perfectly detailed, smiling female face staring back out at me. She was wearing an acorn cap. I told her what I saw. She smiled and dropped the stone to the ground. She reached into her pocket and pulled out another small, almost triangular stone and held it out in front of my eyes, saying,
Now, what do you see?
I saw the same smiling, acorn-capped female face. She dropped that stone on the ground, pulled another from her pocket, and repeated the same procedure. I saw the same smiling face. She did this 3 more times in rapid succession, and each time I saw the same smiling woman's face with the little acorn cap. As she dropped the last stone onto the ground, I agreed with her. Now that is astounding.
No, that isn't astounding. What is astounding is that most of the stones on this riverbed, however large or small, have that same face on them, in the same geometrical position on the stone. Look. If you don't believe me, check it out for yourself.
The same face stared back at me. I was dumbfounded.
It's even worse than that. The whole planet is covered with them. And every one of them has that same and many other images on them. Most Native Americans call them the stone people. In the old days, some of our unprincipled medicine women used them as bait to lure unsuspecting people onto the spiritual or medicine path. I can see you're interested. If you've got 10 minutes, I'll show you a trick to blow your friends' minds.
Yeah, sure.
In the old days, our old medicine women drew a circle on the ground and used little stones like the ones I just showed to you to prove that there was a system to the way these images appear on the heart-shaped stone people. But now, I'll need your help to do this. Pick up 10 heart-shaped stones. Don't pick ones that have been tumbled smooth. Pick only the ones with good texture that haven't been crushed. Think of this human heart shape as an arrowhead. Place the most pointed end up and the broadest base down. One side of that base will stick out. Face the sun. You should see the image of Frog Woman jumping away from you. Call that position, point up, 12 o'clock. Next, turn that pointed end to 3, 6, 9, and 12 o'clock. And you will see these other images in this order. Here, I've drawn these images on this paper. Take this and your stones home with you. Copy the drawings. These positions are for men, and these positions are for women. Although there are many other images on the stone, these are enough for you to see if what I've just shown you is true or not. If you see that what I've just shown you is true, you'll probably want to know more, so I've written my number down on this paper. Give me a call. Hey, you look bored.
Oh, come on, Francis. Let's go home. I'm freezing. That's the second one you've baited today.
Well, wait. I want to introduce you to the young man I just caught. He's hooked. Come and see.
Fry bread. Let's go have dinner, Francis. Gravy, fry bread with butter and honey.
This is my husband, Jesse.
Gravy and
His Indian
chops,
name is Sagese.
potatoes.
That means coyote in our language. If you can't reach me at that number, try him. He might know something.
You got any coffee or tobacco?
It was late in the fall when I called Francis. I got Coyote instead, and he did know something. He turned out to be a Latgawa medicine man, and Francis was a Latgawa medicine woman. I had offered him tobacco when he had first arrived at my house before dawn. He accepted it. I was now apprenticed to him.
Hey, Yokahe, it's a good day to drive.
But first, we'll look at some other special stones. All human history starts after the flood. All human history starts at the tribal level. All people had or still have the use of the sweat lodge for spiritual purification before ceremony. All sweat lodge ceremonies have this much in common: darkness, fire, stone, plant smoke, water, and the participants. All voluntarily enter this womb to be reborn at the exit to focused ceremony.
On the way, he said it was time to start to learn the symbolic meanings of some of the stones.
This was traditionally done when a boy became a man. So now you're involved in a Tequilma puberty ceremony.
He said his people called the stones the heart of the people stones.
I'm gonna turn this light on for a minute so I can show you something. The teachings using the images on these stones are ultimately about love and freedom and the human heart, whose shape is visually found in all humans' oldest tribal spiritual ways. All are based on the stones and are still being practiced today. All these spiritual paths say, live your life with love and respect for all things. For all things in the universe are related and made up of this mother matter, this stone mother.
We arrived at the edge of the desert, just as the sun was coming over the distant mountains. After we got out of the car, he handed me a sage smudge stick, and he told me I could use any one of the many smudges to purify my mind and body, such as sage, cedar, copal, incense, sweetgrass, or whatever the local custom is. He said everyone has one. We then walked over and sat down facing the sun. He began by saying he was going to briefly cover the information he would be giving me in the first part of my apprenticeship. He said he was going to make me tribally literate. He then told me how tribal people did and do manipulate natural cliff and boulder edges, including the shadows they cast. And they make sign patterns on slopes, sometimes on or with boulders, in or of vegetation and bare ground. These patterns are symbols of ideas and give the tribally literate directions to ancient, globally distributed spiritual grounds.
At these sacred grounds, at the traditionally right times, early morning or late evening, the medicine eye is used to locate exact message descrambling spots. From one of these exact visual perspective spots, the edges of the world form into the lines of the world. These exact focal spots are entrances or doorways into the medicine world, where everything is upside down and backwards, including this statement, which is now in the medicine world. Today, I will give you the key to the doorway to the medicine world, but you still cannot enter. First, your ego has to die before you can live. It's traditional at this point to tell men they are not warriors because they are the stronger or the braver of the sexes. It's because they're the most expendable. It only takes one rooster if a people are to survive. So it's okay to be kind, loving, and gentle. That's your mother's side. So nourish it. This frog woman shape is the symbol of life. She is found inside this human heart shape, which is the universal symbol for love. You only see her from the back, like you see your life, jumping away from you. Upside down and backwards, on the opposite side of frog woman, is the skull, a symbol of death, the opposite of life. You only see life and death once each. The rest of the human and animal images on the stones are in pairs, right and left looking, female and male images. The human images depict likenesses of the four nations, black, white, yellow, and red. These same human images on cliffs and boulders appear to age from spring to winter. Just as we perceive our own certain intellectual death, the skull is seen very faintly on the stones, rushing at you from 3/4 to your left. Death is always confronting you. Once you know you are going to die, you are free. Nothing may threaten you because you are going to die anyway. To become an adult, according to my people, the Takelmas, you must first know you're going to die. That is, you're going to be transformed back into an untransformed spirit. Your ego and the memory of your life experiences will be dead. This knowledge of our intimate personal death is the most important medicine teaching of the stones. Death is your first advisor and friend. Live now because you are going to die, and they won't say when. If you want to do something about the when, you must turn off the subliminal mental chatter of your younger brother, the death intellect. He must be tricked into voluntarily allowing your elder brother, your life spirit, at least equal time in this reality. One way to get a hold on your headstrong and self-deluded intellectual younger brother is to deliberately control and reduce the function of his primary reality-checking information system, his eyes. We are going to present him with a mental and visual paradox, one he cannot deny, but cannot accept.
He told me to close the eye closest to the direct light source and squint the open eye almost shut. By doing this, you lose depth perception, and the filtering nature of your eyelashes grays out the small, non-informative details, leaving only the larger, bold masses in your visual consciousness. When looking or gazing, one-eyed, at any of these stones, you must face directly to the sun, or at right angles to it. Diffused, bounced, or multi-source light cannot be used to see, except in medicine ways. Seeing is best done outside, when the sun is near either horizon, from before dawn until about 10 a.m. sun time, and again starting about 2 hours before total darkness. These are the traditional questing times. This is when the worlds change and the light angle is right for you to see.
Soon I'll show you how to transform yourself through the use of your medicine eye at your local medicine grounds. But first, you must free yourself of any human or human structure that is placed between you and the Creator. Self-transformation is related only to the self, and is not to be compared to any other individual or human standard or ritual. You do not need anyone to tell Creator what you want to say, or interpret what Creator may have to say to you. We are all born free, and do not automatically belong to any nation, state, or religion. The medicine eye is the key to the doorway into the medicine world. We'll be using it to intellectually examine the truth of the first medicine teaching, which is, you do not see. I say the proof of this statement has been under your nose all of your life, in the form of these small, basically heart-shaped stones, which I say are actually human artifacts, which cover the planet. Each of these stones conform to all the rules of images and order on this enlarged chart. This confirmation to a system proves that it is not random imaging we are seeing. Because these stones are found everywhere on the globe also proves we all practiced one spiritual path before the flood. We can't go any further until and unless you personally know whether what I've told you so far is true or not. The only way for you to know is for you to do it yourself. So, I would like you to copy these stone charts and go out into your backyard, local riverbank, seacoast, desert, or valley floor and check out for yourself whether this astounding claim is true or not. You might even have some friends send you some of these heart-shaped stones from other places, just to check me out. Later, we'll go gather medicine. We'll need Frog Woman's protection to see that we don't get poisoned.
Poisoned?
We'll gather the sacred woka seeds over at the Klamath Lake just before a special ceremony I have arranged for you to attend tonight. While you are copying these, I'll teach you Frog Woman's mushroom song.
Coyote arrived before dawn, weeks after the ceremony, and we drove back down to the river, where Francis had made me aware of the images on the stones. I long ago convinced myself that the images on the heart-shaped stones conformed to the same rotational order and visual light rules as those on the charts I had copied on our other journeys. I just didn't know what they meant. Coyote said he would pick up the symbolic explanation of the stone images where he had left off on our last trip to the nearby agate desert. He had us smudge with sage as he had the last time. He said that I was to smudge first, any time I was working with medicine things.
From now on, always use the medicine eye when viewing the medicine things.
I had to remember to close the eye closest to the direct light source.
To save us from having to move the stones back and forth in the sunlight and changing places so that we have the exact same perspective, I've drawn pictures on the insides of these cards, the same shape and positions as they appear on the stones. Of course, you will have to check this out on your own to find out if it's true. You know you have two heads, a spirit and an intellect. That's the meaning of the medicine people's horns all over the world. This shadow represents your elder brother, your essence, your spirit head. It was the first part of you which was created. The stone itself represents your substance, your younger brother, the thinking head, which was the second part of you which was created. Since then, your younger brother has taken control of your every instant. This shadow, or spirit essence, and this stone, or substance, together make the image of a butterfly whose wings are starting to unfold. This symbol of the unfolding butterfly is an ancient global symbol of fertility, and also represents the mysterious duality of our double-headed human nature, which hints at our option of self-transformation. At first, the butterfly exists as a common, ugly land creature, a worm, who voluntarily withdraws into itself and, after a period of solitude, unfolds into a beautiful, self-created, and free-spirited creature of the sky. Not only do you have two heads, but you have 5 minds. My teacher told me that my first task as a mature man was to make up my 5 minds which of my 2 heads I was going to listen to, my thinking death head or my spirit life head.
I watched from over his shoulder as he turned the stone, pointed end up, then faced into the sun, arm outstretched. He ran his fingers along the left outside edge and said,
They say your thinking head is merely a record of what happened to you since your moment of conception and will disintegrate after your death, while your elder brother, your spirit head, is, was, and always will be. How it will be depends on which of your 2 heads you decide to listen to. Your younger brother, your thinking death head, or your elder brother, which is your spirit life head. If you want to transcend yourself, you must act before death. Choose a path with heart, and use the rest of your life to try to resolve the conflicting duality of your double-headed nature. Which reminds me of an old Coyote story. Well, of course, Coyote was hungry as usual. And in the evening around sundown, he was walking along the shore of the lake where Old Woman was cooking some fry bread. Thinking to get something for nothing, Coyote distracted her. He yelled and he pointed inland, and when the Old Woman looked up, Coyote ran up and grabbed one of the fry breads and dashed up along the ridges above the lake. Running along the ridge, he looked back down to see if the Old Woman was following him. Instead of seeing the Old Woman, there, floating on the surface of the lake, was the largest, most gigantic golden fry bread he had ever seen in his life. Filled with greed, Coyote dropped the fry bread that he had and dove head first into the water, expecting to grab this gigantic fry bread. But as he hit the surface, his jaws closed on what he realized was the golden reflection of the moon. Between the life and death symbols, there is my namesake, Coyote, the trickster or transformer. The Takelmas say that it was Coyote who set up all the ancient medicine grounds and turned all the first animals and people into the images on the mountains and the hills. These images are made up of trees, bushes, boulders, and stones and shadows. It is he who reawakens these images when the worlds change at dawn and dusk. These globally distributed medicine grounds are really human rearrangements of nature. They always depict the same animal and human images as on the heart of the people stones. Each image traditionally stands as a symbol for a specialized field of knowledge or medicine. These ancient archetypical images have the same meanings all over this planet. All over Mother Earth, the canine symbol represents one of the tricksters or world makers or world transformers. Some say he might even be Creator's shadow. On the heart of the people stones, Coyote is always found at this position to the early morning sunlight. Coyote's right ear always points to the human symbol panther or Sayende, or the largest predatory feline in your local area. Humans are the predatory cat people. We prey on all other life forms, right down to the plant people who nurse at our mother's very breast, the earth. You see, we are just soggy rocks, waiting to return to the waterless dust from where we came. Meanwhile, we wander around in the dark, never really knowing what's going on. Well, for instance, you have to listen to yourself, then tell yourself what just happened.
What?
Well, then you have to think about it before you can act. We never really know what's going on at any given instant, only after the fact. We're always too late. By revolving the stone panther under the light, like a door on a hinge, the feline changes back into its direct opposite, Coyote, the canine, trickster, or world transformer. Directly across the circle from Coyote is the she-bear image. She comes from her house in the west. She is the universal bringer of medicine symbol. Because she-bear belongs to the medicine world, she is always found upside down and backwards on the stones in relation to Coyote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is a sacred number. 5 is also the human number. It is also the number of Coyote. Therefore, you are Coyote. You are your own trickster, your own transformer, your own medicine person. Your first task as an adult man is to use your intellect to re-examine itself and everything else in this world. And through the use of the medicine knowledge, trick your younger brother, the intellect, into relinquishing control of your spirit being, so that you may choose to transcend yourself before intellectual death. Transcendence is over self, not compared to any other standard or code or anyone else. There's only one sacred mountain worth climbing, and you are that mountain. One of the ways to climb above yourself is to trick your intellect. One of the ways to trick your intellect into relinquishing control of your spirit is to journey into Coyotes World. The human-manipulated stones, mountain ridges, hills, vegetation, shadows, cliffs, and boulders that make up the medicine grounds, wherever you are on this planet. Five is also the number of fingers on the human hand. It is the sign symbol for an individual human. The hand is what makes us different from all other animals. It is our doer or our not doer. It symbolizes our choice at every instant of doing or not doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are the center of your universe. The lines of your universe radiate equally outwards, in all directions from you. The trouble is, up until now, you have only perceived your younger brother's acquired and self-projected image of that universe. Unfortunately, your younger brother's erroneous self-projections do not apply in Coyotes World. The reason that your younger brother's projection of this reality were incorrect is because they didn't include the heart of the people stones, which lie at your feet, and the images on the hills and the rocks. The reason that this information was not included in your prior universe is because you didn't know how to see. Everyone assumes that they know how to see, but as you are beginning to suspect, rocks, shadows, and bushes are not always just that. Sometimes there are human-manipulated images of animals and people composed of sign symbols. All over the globe, isolated small rock outcroppings, plants, groups of boulders, artificial stone walls, some of vitrified mud, brick, or stone, have been used to extend and alter the natural terrain's early morning and late afternoon shadows. At these times, the terrain and their altered shadows join together to form gigantic archetypical images which spread across the landscape when viewed from a vision pit or power spot. These giant images of animals and people are composed of sign symbols. These sign symbols are usually on sterile ground, above the tree line, on bald mountains, or the most outstanding vegetative or geological formation in your immediate visual area. These sign symbols are found over the entrances to all the world's most ancient medicine caves: Latgawa, France, Lotan, Mexico, Fort Rock, Oregon, and El Huyo, Spain, which held a cairn of cave bear skulls and a remarkable half-man, half-cat-faced, heart-shaped stone. These caves are 11 to 14,000-year-old medicine caves. The signs even compose the very structure and surfaces of the world's oldest prehistoric megalithic ruins, such as Machu Picchu, Ollantaytambo, Sacsayhuaman, Panope, Baalbek, Stonehenge, the Exenstern in Germany, and all of the world's other mysterious prehistoric sites. One of the medicine purposes of these sign symbols is to teach us that we do not see, and never have seen, what has always been under our noses. For instance, without looking at an object, have you ever looked at its shadow to tell yourself what the object is?
No.
Half the world is shadow. We neglect half our visual experience by seeing shadow as informationless. Tribal people all over the globe know the shadow people carry information which is hidden under our civilized noses and has been all our lives.
Huh.
Shadows are subject to natural laws. They must give valid descriptions of the objects that project them. Using this knowledge, tribal people all over the planet did and do manipulate the edges of cliffs and stack boulders on the tops of high bald mountains. And they plant or kill vegetation to convey useful information to the passing tribally literate traveler. Some types of such information are locations of water, food, lodging, directions to the desert, mountain and ocean passes, and the location of spiritually transcending centers or sacred grounds. This information is conveyed by abrading or grouping rocks, killing soil, etc., into sign symbol patterns derived from a most ancient, globally distributed hand sign language used by people of differing verbal languages on the world's most ancient trade routes. The panoramic landscape designs that make up these images of animals and people are derived from the motions made by the hand and fingers during each ideographic hand signing. These static graphic symbols and their meanings have been compiled into a dictionary which I will provide for you. Some of these symbols are even in the International Girl and Boy Scout manuals. The deaf and mute hand sign language, Amslan, was developed from this most ancient language. These ancient symbols can still be used by self-teaching everyday people to find their way to their local medicine grounds anywhere on this planet. People all around the world still stack stones and use vegetation, or lack of it, to convey contemporary spiritual and political messages. This ancient manipulation of shadows, plants, stone, and bare ground is commonly recorded around the world. Great Britain, Nazca, Mojave, USA, Machu Picchu, Ayers Rock, Tibet, Greece, Italy, China, Victoria Falls and Olduvai Gorge, Africa, Easter Island, Scotland, Denmark, Germany, Japan, Fontainebleau, Stonehenge, Yosemite, Czechoslovakia, Hungary. I could go on forever. But for your next task, I would like you to copy these sign symbol charts so that the next time we go on a journey, you'll be able to read the shadow instructions. I'll call your attention to them at the right time of the morning or the evening. I'll also show you the starting out shadow sign on the medicine grounds. From then on, it will be up to you to follow the signs in the correct sun order. All medicine grounds have a time of arrival, a start, and a finish point. If you move through these sacred grounds in the right sun order, I guarantee you will never be the same.
Months later, having memorized the meanings of the symbols on the sign charts I had copied, I again phoned Coyote. He said we would soon journey to a spot in front of sacred grounds where he would continue my tribal education. It was late summer. He kept his promise and arrived at my house one evening. After sweating, we had driven all night across the desert in order to arrive before dawn at a point directly across from Awilamkades, an extinct volcano. He said this was the point from which his people had emerged into this fifth world reality. He said it was their oldest medicine grounds, and that it had been an island set at the western side of an immense prehistoric lake named Lahatan. Now it was a solid rock wall protruding out of the dry desert sage. He stopped the car and got out. He said we should smudge first with sage. He said we were at the southeastern point of the medicine grounds.
At dawn, always approach the medicine grounds from the southeast, the human direction. On this, the north side of the equator.
Oh,
The use of your medicine eye in this world is the key to the doorway into the upside down and backwards medicine world, wherein lies the equally upside down and backwards doorway into the spirit world. Select one of your local heart-shaped stones from the ground. I'll show you how to use it as an accurate map for your particular medicine grounds. The rules are the same for all medicine grounds all over the planet. Use your single squinted medicine eye and hold the stone out in front of you at arm's length below your eye level and face the sacred mountains. Compare the stone's outer edges to the horizon line of the mountains. Then, rotate the stone until you find the outer edge of the stone that matches the horizon line of the mountain you are looking for. Tilt the stone to match the slope of that mountain. Next, carefully manipulate the stone back and forth until two dots of equal size brightest lights are lit upon the stone. These are called spirit eyes. Adjust the stone clock or counterclockwise until the largest spirit eyes are level and in line with your own squinted medicine eye. These reflective spirit eyes indicate the proper angle of sun or moonlight is hitting the stone surface, allowing optimal reading conditions for the tribal information symbols the shadows now reveal. Shift your one-eyed visual attention to the darkest dark, crisp shadow patterns on the stone. Using your medicine eye, look back at the mountain, and you will see the same large shadow or light patterns on the mountain as on the stone. Consult the Seeing in the Dark charts I had you copy on your last journey. Use them to translate the meaning of the sign symbols on your local stones and mountains. Do what they say. Follow your local heart-shaped stone map, and you will be able to find your local vision pit, power spot, or sacred grounds anywhere on this planet.
He said, having used your local stones as maps to arrive at your local medicine grounds, sit far out in front of them for about 20 minutes. Use your medicine eye. Do not move your eye about, just sit and steadily gaze at all the landscape before you. After the specified time, switch open and closed eyes. The directional message symbols, composed of the vegetation, boulders, and shadows, will now appear to glow and float magically in the air, displaced and floating above the area under observation. These glowing ideographs will be in the direct opposite color as the same area now being observed with the newly opened eye. This glowing effect is due to the shimmering opposite color after image we experience when closing our eyes after viewing a bright light. It also brings the message portion of the medicine grounds to our heightened, double-visioned attention. Straight, right-angled, and circular patterns, extending one to the other through the vegetation, rocks, and cliffs, will now glaringly stand out.
This use of your medicine eye is the key to the doorway into the upside-down and backwards medicine world. Without it, you cannot enter, because you cannot read the instructions which require a one-eyed, upside-down and backwards view from an exact focal point. These informative directional instructions are hidden in or consist of the naturally occurring and rearranged or altered shadows, boulder, and vegetation patterns found in nature all over the globe. To separate the non-informative, naturally occurring patterns in nature from the informative, rearranged, or human-manipulated parts of the landscape, look for the spirit eyes, 2 equal-sized dots. In the daytime, they will be dark. In the nighttime, they will be light. These spirit eyes mean you are looking at it. It is seeing you. This is valid information. Everything has an outside edge that separates it from all other things. Your helpers or medicine advisors stand out at the edges of things, out where a cliff edge becomes sky, water becomes land, vegetation becomes earth, rock and trees become snow, dark becomes light, and day becomes night. These edges of the world or things are where the visual messages are easiest observed and the informational imagery easily manipulated and maintained. The doing of visual communications is the message. If all the profiled faces on the edges of boulders, cliffs, vegetation patterns, etc. face right, then you must look or travel to the right. If all profiled faces are looking to the left, then you must look or travel to the left. If both right and left faces are looking at one another, then the world agrees. These advisors are looking at a vision pit, giant seat, or power spot. Go sit in the spot they're looking at. Be sure to use your single medicine eye. This exact spot is the visual focal point where the manipulated edges of the world or things transform themselves into the lines of the world. They do this by meeting and lining up to form fantastic images of archetypical animals and people. These vision pits or giant seats are visual message descrambling spots. The unscrambled information gives correct travel instructions leading to the self-transformative medicine cave. At its entrance, both right and left-looking faces will be looking at each other and into the cave. This is also true of all faces around all springs and waterfalls. To line up the edges of the world into the lines of the world, you have to use your medicine eye from inside the power spot. You must move up, down, or from side to side using one eye only until you can make the edges of the world, the edges of the objects in your view, line up to form more extended lines which now depict the same animal and human images as you have been seeing on the heart of the people's stones. These larger world lines in actuality extend through three-dimensional landscape space, but because of your one-eyed view will appear to be part of a larger, flat, two-dimensional, line-drawn and colored image made up of objects and shadows from the fore, middle, and background.
Abigam yan luma kasi nawak na Panu niwa oya ni kano Abigam yan luma kasi nawak na No matter kayawa no matter kayawa Panu niwa oya ni kano Abigam yan luma kasi nawak na
Each of these newly revealed images stands for a specific field of knowledge. As an example, imagine you are in a library, at the card file. What do you want to know? Ask the animal or person who knows. They are the topic. These animal and human images are humanity's most ancient symbols, standing for mythological categories of action, knowledge, or information. Using the chosen symbol for what you're interested in, follow the right or left looking images of the symbol to a newly revealed power spot. When the selected animal or person is looking straight at you, you are at its house. Its eyes, the seeing it sign symbols, are looking at you. Look in. See what it says.
Congratulations. You are now a tribally literate adult. You have the information to get you from one place to another. You know how to locate what you need in a strange territory. And you know how, when, and where to acquire new medicine knowledge. On our next journey, I will take you to the men's medicine grounds of my people, and I will show you how to use them. They are used one way in the daytime and another way at night, and then only during the 5-day time period, starting 2 nights before the full moon. Before we leave, I have to tell you something. Now that you can finally see, I need to tell you that you can't hear, nor have you ever moved since your moment of conception.
Oh. As the morning sun rises in the east, the eagle pond whistles brings his healing powers to the west. The sentience drums come calling, each new year finds you there. With a troubled mind, a broken heart, praying for a better day. The first to laugh, the first to cry, wondering why the grandfathers has chosen you to stumble down the red road, bringing back the medicine that's a long time gone. With a lifetime of suffering, the spirit in you has never died.
In 1992, near Flores, Guatemala, National Geographic excavators noted explosive force had been used to blast apart and hurl chunks of a gigantic heart-of-the-people stone stele deep into the jungle. Reconstructed photos show the Guatemalan stele has the same shape and images as this Externstein elder brother image, which is also found on all the rocks on the ancient and current stone piles all over the planet. The Flores site has been tentatively dated at least 400 BC. Both the Fort Rock, Oregon and the El Huyo, Spain caves contain thousands of smaller stones that bear the elder brother and cat-faced images when turned in the proper direction, under the correct light source. The same lighting conditions are required on both caves' inner walls to reveal the images and sign symbols hidden there. The same is true of all ancient cave sites.
The rainbows are rocking on the rock. The rainbows are rocking on the rock.
As other tribal people do, the Takelmas recognize three types of medicine people: the healing doctor of herbs, wounds, and everyday sickness; the GaiA, the spirit-empowered healing doctors; and the magic dream-empowered Sumlahuaka, or dream doctors. The Sumlahuaka were usually medicine women who were primarily responsible for the creation and nurturing of the beautiful plant pattern, sign symbol portions of their medicine grounds. They also specially prepared the ground under each new spirit money pile or Mima mound in front of each home, and at all river fords, trailheads, mountain passes, or sacred grounds. In Tibet and Mongolia, these stone piles are called obos. From Mexico southward, they are called huacas. These current stone piles and the heart-shaped stones at your very own feet are the remains of a most ancient, globally practiced spiritual path which leads to self-transformation, but never to a religion.
Hey!